Hello everybody and welcome to another video tutorial. So you guys voted and you guys chose for me to paint a phoenix. So obviously I needed to get some reference material on a couple of different subject matters before I could actually start on this image. So the first thing I started looking into is different types of birds that would best suit this type of concept. Now the first thing that actually came to mind and that I ended up going with was the pheasant. Because the pheasant's wings and its tail is much longer than the average bird. So this suited the phoenix idea that I had much better. So the first thing I started looking at was a lot of pheasant reference material. So look at actual photos taken of the birds. I actually settled on a couple of different photos from which I could get a general idea of the structure. Now obviously, because I am doing a concept, I do want to change up the structure a bit, so I didn't stay 100% true to it, but I did take inspiration from those photo references. Once I had that reference material, the next important phase for my research was to actually look up different flame effects and other people's interpretation of the pheasant as well. Since it has to be made up of fire, getting that attribute to show through in the design can actually be pretty tricky, because there is a couple techniques that you can use, but if they're done overly, then it does show and it doesn't look as appealing as an overall design. So I did want to show the bird very clearly, so the posing was obviously a key factor in establishing the structure and the form. So although I initially started out with one pose, I ended up redoing it in favor of this pose, mainly because I could actually show more of the body of the phoenix than if I did a more closer up shot. So with this one I zoomed out a bit, essentially just to get more of the body of the phoenix. So as you can see, I actually started originally with a much darker red, and I slowly started adding highlights to the image. Now, the phoenix is supposed to be made of fire, yes. Now, there's a couple ways to do it though. I could have had almost a fire effect coming from the plumage itself, which I do add as a trailing effect to the bird, but I didn't want to actually make the feathers themselves made out of fire. I did not want to do that. I actually wanted to have more of a bird that essentially has almost an aura of flame instead. Now, you notice that I used a blue color for this image. The main reason why I chose that color is it's actually a complementary color to the reds that I was using. And since that was going to be a deciding color for the actual phoenix, it made sense to use more of a bluish tone. Now I do tone it down quite a bit later on in this video. As I'm actually adding the fire and the smoke effects, I start darkening up that background. And that is an important stage because once again it helps tie in everything. Now I'm actually adding some blue. The reason why I'm actually adding blue into the plumage and into the bird design in general, once again, it's a complementary color to it. It's very similar to the background blues. However, at the tip of a flame, generally it's blue. It's not actually yellow or red. So doing that actually gives it more of the illusion of heat, or a potential of heat within the plumage. So that's the main reason why I added the blue inside of it. Now you may have noticed that I use a very specialized brush to do the initial portions of the flames. What I did do is, because I didn't want it to look too repetitive and I was using the same brush for this, I essentially put several marks with the brush, changing the size, and then I would actually erase part of it. That way you don't see the same edges every single time and it looks like it's actually a different flame design. You have to go in afterwards though, and you actually have to paint in quite a bit of your own by sampling the colors that are within it, just to break up those colors, because if you don't, and that shape, because if you don't do that, then it does look like you used a brush to do that effect. So this is the final image. As you can see, I did some changes on the background. I also added a bit more flames, but other than that, it's pretty true to the initial painting that you saw me paint. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys soon. So thank you and take care.